Hello everybody, how are you all? Myself Sunil Pawar from New Catholic Mission Higher Secondary School Jhabua welcomes you back for the new session of 11th class biology. Right, as you know that we already finished the first part of this cytology unit, that is the cell as an autonomous unit or as a unit of life. Now today we are taking the next chapter, that is the biomolecules. Okay, and because of its length and its content, we are going to divide it into the two part, the first part and the second part. Okay, so in first part we will talk about just the biochemicals which is present in the living system and the body, and in the second part we will talk about the enzymes, one of the most important macromolecule of our body, that is the enzymes. Okay, so in this one simply we are going to talk about the biomolecules. Okay, as you know that actually this chapter is purely related with the chemical composition and this one only. Okay, so you know that this biomolecule, that means these are also the chemical substances. Okay, but it is not present in the nature, it is only produces or form inside the body, or it is only the part of the living system there only. Clear? As you know that a cell is composed of which one thing, the varieties of the molecules. Okay, just like that carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and phosphorus, these are the five main element who is responsible to compose and construct the different molecules as well as the interacting substances of the protoplasm and the cytoplasm. Clear? And you know that they are basically responsible to perform the different functions of the body. Clear? In excess of this one thing, this basic elements, some metals and non-metals are also present as cellular materials. Okay, and all these materials combine in different ways in order to form the various biomolecules, and which are found in the cells of organisms. Clear? You know that not only this organic substances present in the body, but this inorganic substances also in the form of the metals and non-metals are present. Okay, as you are familiar with so many molecules, okay, in which even though they are the part of the organic compounds, okay, they are the organic in nature, but still a very small percentage of inorganic matter is also there. Okay, just like that you are having the good example of enzymes. Okay, even you know about the hemoglobin, no? A protein. Clear? A main carrier protein for the transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Clear? It is basically composed of globulin protein. Clear? But along with this one thing, a very small part of iron is there which is compulsory for its working. Without this inorganic substance or this metallic part, it is impossible to work completely, right? So it is quite compulsory. Now these molecules are present in the living system to perform the different functions. Okay, and these biomolecules are basically the organic substances, likewise carbohydrate, protein, lipid, fats, all this one thing. Okay, and they play such an important role, or you can say the major role in the construction of the body and to perform the different functions of a living system, right? This fundamental living matter in the protoplasm, okay, which is found inside all cells. Okay, it is a complex mixture of number of organic and inorganic molecules, right? Just like that, near about 93% of the cellular composition is basically made by carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, and just for the sake of the convenience, this molecules is basically found in the two form, one that is the aqueous phase and second is the non-aqueous phase. Clear? So according to this aqueous and non-aqueous phase, we are having a first categorization of this something. Clear? Now then we are going to discuss about first the cellular pool. Actually, what is the cellular pool? Pool means a group, okay, or a collection, okay, or a togetherness of a similar type of content, that is called as the pool. Okay, and when we talk about the cellular pool, then the sum total of the different types of biomolecules compound ions which is present in the cells, that is called as cellular pool. Simply a total collection of the interconnecting or the interreacting organic, inorganic substances, okay, in the atomic form, molecular form as well as the ionic form, clear. And it is basically of that more than 5,000 chemicals are basically present in this one thing, okay. And if we talk about the cellular then pool, in then it is basically composed of inorganic materials, likewise the water, minerals, iron and salts, okay. Similarly, this ionic compounds, likewise the carbohydrate, fats, protein, nucleic acid, vitamins and enzymes are there, okay. So organic and inorganic compounds, basically when we talk about their ratio, then the ratio is 9:1, okay. That means nearly 90% is organic substances and only 10% is inorganic substances, clear. And this cellular pool is actually provide the materials, okay, for the structural and functional working of the cell, okay. It is not only functioning but it is also regulatory too. They also help in the regulation and maintenance of the cells too. These different biomolecules can be easily classified as the aldehyde, ketones, aromatic compounds, okay, and the amino acid, nucleotide, fatty acids, okay. These are also considered the biochemical forms, okay. So in general we are having a categorization of these biomolecules on the basis of their size as a micromolecules and the macromolecules, clear. In micromolecules you can see that the water, gases, sugars, amino acids okay, and the nucleotides, these all are the micromolecules. While on the other hand, if you observe that the macromolecules, then carbohydrate, lipid, proteins and the nucleic acid, these are basically considered the macromolecules, okay. There are different which one thing the what do you say, the standards of the categorization of this one thing, their molecular weight, okay, mass, okay, their size, the permeability through the cell membrane, also this one thing, okay. So first here we are talking about the small or the micromolecules of the cells, clear. So these are basically small in size, lower molecular weight, okay, and they have simple molecular structure and basically they are soluble in the intracellular fluid, okay. And if we are talking about their main features, then they are smaller in size, their molecular structure is very simple, they have low molecular weight, okay, and they are the substrates and the products of the metabolism in the cell, clear. How they produce? As basically as the metabolites or the metabolical activities. Not only even this one thing, they are also present as a substrates too, right. And these are much soluble in the intracellular fluid. That means whatever the cytoplasmic fluid is there, these are basically soluble in it, okay. And they act as the building block for the macromolecules, likewise carbohydrate, lipids, amino acids, nucleotides, water and minerals, clear. So this basically these small or micromolecules are the constructional or the building units of the or the building blocks of the macromolecules, okay. Now we are going to discuss about the large or the macromolecules of the cell. So such molecules or the biomolecules which are large in size, having higher molecular weight and basically organic in nature, okay. And if you just consider them, then they are the carbohydrate, protein, lipids and nucleic acid too, okay. These all are the macromolecules or these are the large biomolecules, clear. So one by one here we are talking about the different biomolecules which is present in our system, living system, okay. So first of all, that is the carbohydrate, clear. Simply carbohydrate, clear. The organic compound which is basically composed of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, that is called as carbohydrate, okay. This is the very important component of the cell and the main source of the energy of the body. As you know that what is the respiratory substrate of the cell? Of course, it is the glucose, okay, and you know that what is the molecular formula of glucose? That is C6H12O6, okay, you know that carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, clear? The basic component of this energy producing substances, okay, and if you observe that, then it is general ratio of this carbon, hydrogen and oxygen is 1:2:1, okay, and the general formula of the carbohydrate, if you observe that, then the CN, H2N and ON, or if you the formula that is CH2ON, clear? These are basically aldehydes, ketone derivatives of the polyhydric alcohol, okay. So simply we can define them. The organic compound which yield polyhydric alcohols and ketones on hydrolysis are called as carbohydrate. Simply one thing, they are composed of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, or on their hydrolysis they used to produce which one thing, the yields of the polyhydric alcohol and ketone, then simply we call them the carbohydrate, clear? And these are basically also considered the saccharides. Saccharides means sweet in taste, okay, and these are basically the components of the sugars, okay, and they are commonly sweet in taste, and in general the monomers are responsible to form the polysaccharides as well as the higher carbohydrates, okay, and these are the building or the constructional unit of the heavy molecular weight compounds, okay. So here we are talking about the functions of the carbohydrate. So first of all, as a source of the energy, as I told you, this glucose is considered the respiratory substrate of the cell, okay. So but natural, it is responsible for the production of energy, and even as a temporary storage of this carbohydrate, it is present in the form of the glycogen, okay. Then the regulation of the fat metabolism, okay. So it is necessary for the oxidation of fats, okay. Fats will convert into the fatty acids, okay. So this will further providing the energy. Then the formation of the amino acids, clear? So like that, this amino acid is synthesized by the body from the intermediate products of carbohydrate metabolism. That is not finally directly produces, they are produces as a interaction of these metabolites, okay. Then the structural components, if you observe this nucleic acid, coenzyme, flavoproteins and blood, vitamin C, okay, these all are related with the sugar. That means these carbohydrates are the basic components of these compounds. Like with this cellulose, hemicellulose, pectins, clear? These are basically made up of carbohydrate, and they are you know that they are responsible for the parasympathetic movement, okay. Next one thing, what is parasympathetic movement? A rhythmic contraction and expansion of the muscle, who is responsible for involuntary movement of the content. Likewise, food material from buccal cavity to the stomach, this urine droplet from kidney to the urinary bladder, okay. So this is possible only. Even this fibers, okay, what do you say, that is the rough phase part of the food, it is responsible for the which you think, that is the storage of water or holding water in the stomach, which facilitate the process of digestion, right. Now then this heparin, you know that this is the anticoagulatory protein which is present in the blood, which is responsible for non-coagulation, not allowed to coagulate in the body, right. Now then we are moving towards the next one, that is the lipids, okay. That is the derivatives of fats, and their derivatives is collectively called as the lipids, okay. It actually derived from a Greek word lipos, that means the fat, clear. The term lipid was used for the first time by the Blue in 1943, and the main component in most of the lipid in the fatty acids, and the lipids are the heterogeneous group of the substances, and they are made up of basically carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen, okay, as well as sulfur is also present, okay. Now the ratio of the hydrogen and oxygen is less than that of the water, and these are the esters of the fatty acids and alcohols which form emulsion with water but are soluble in organic solvents only. Clear? You know that it is unable to dissolve in the water. Okay, along with this water they only form the emulsion. Okay, and you know that the emulsion of these fats is responsible to absorb the fat soluble vitamins in the earlier part, in the duodenum part of the small intestine. Clear? Now then here we observe the properties of the lipids. Then chemically lipids are the esters of the glycerides of fatty acids and the glycerol, and their general formula is CH3CH2 and COOH carboxylic group. Okay, then they are the insoluble in the water but are soluble in the various organic solvents like the ether, acetone, chloroform, benzene, etc. Okay, and they are the esters of fatty acids. They are used by all types of organism. Okay, if we are considering the functions, then they are very important. First of all, as a food material. Okay, these lipids are basically the main source of the energy. Clear? You know that if this 1 gram of lipid or the fats is completely oxidized, then it will give you nearly 9 kilocalorie of the energy. So such a condensed form of energy source, right? Then as a food reserve, as you know that in the different seeds of oil producing plant, likewise the groundnut, mustard, coconut, castor. Okay, these fat stored seed plants are there, which is basically responsible to provide the nourishment for the growing embryo. It is also useful for producing this oil for the mankind or the human beings. Okay, then as the structural constituents. Okay, so if you observe, then they are also involvement in the cellular composition, right? And you know that cell are the basic unit of the body. Then as heat insulator, you know that these fats are basically deposited just under the muscular layer of the body or under the skin. Clear? So this way they just form a blanket like structure. Okay, under the skin. They are responsible to restrict the free flow of this heat energy or the temperature of the body. Clear? So they act as an insulator. Okay, do you know that in the lower portion of the muscles of this whale fish, blue whale, there is nearly 90 centimeter thick deposition of fats is there. Okay, and you know that it is called as blubber. A specific term is given that is a blubber. You know the this polar animals like the white bear, no? It is also a very quite thick deposition of the fats, not only for the supplying the food for the starvation time or the winter sleep, but it also protect him from the this extreme cold and manage the body temperature. Clear? Then as a solvent, as I told you, this fat soluble vitamins, likewise vitamin A, D and E is soluble in the fats and lipids, and they are absorbed by the body with the help of the lymphatic vessels. Okay. Then this hormone synthesis, this cholesterol is the most important part of the esterol in the animals. Okay. This vitamin D, hormones like adrenocorticoid hormone, the sex hormones, these are basically produced by this fats. Okay. Now then fat transports. This phospholipid plays such an important role in the absorption and the transportation of the fatty acids. Clear? So you can see that how these fats and the lipids are important for the living system. Right. So now we are moving toward the next macromolecule, that is the amino acids. Clear? Such a simple organic acid which is consisting one amino group is called as amino acid. Clear? So such a chain of which one thing, you can simply write the formula R NH3COOH. Okay, NH2COH. Okay, so here this you can see that the amino acid are the organic acid with the carboxyl group COH and one amino group NH2, okay, with this alkane chain. Clear? Now the general formula of the amino acid is RCHNH2COOH. Clear? And you know that when these amino acids attach with each other, then they used to form a peptide bond. Clear? The amino group of the first amino acid and the carboxylic group of the first one and the amino acid of the second one, when combined with each other, then they form a chain of the amino acid, and this chain is called as peptide chain. And when a series of peptide bonds will form, then they will form the polypeptide chain. Clear? This amino acid exhibits the both acidic and basic properties, so we can call them the amphoteric or the bipolar ions or the Zwitter ions. Okay. Now, these two amino acids link with the peptide bond, as I told you, and here they are responsible to form a polypeptide chain. And you know that these amino acids are the basic constituents of the protein. A specific chain of the amino acid is responsible to construct a protein, okay, and more than one polypeptide chain is also there, just like that your globulin or hemoglobin. In this one, actually 4 polypeptide chains are there, 2 alpha and 2 beta chains. Clear? Now, then here this amino acid can be also categorized into the essential, semi-essential and non-essential amino acids. Okay. So, what are these essential amino acids? The amino acids which are not synthesized in the body and hence to be provided in the diet only. Okay. It cannot be synthesized in the body, it can be only taken as a diet part of our food or a meal. Okay. And these are valine, leucine, okay, isoleucine, threonine, okay, methionine, phenylalanine, tryptophan and lysine. Clear? This adequate amount of these amino acids are required to maintain the proper nitrogenous balance, okay, and only the source is your food material. Okay, that's why we call them the essential amino acid, right? Then next one, that is semi-essential amino acid, which are basically synthesized partially in the body, but not at the rate to meet the requirement of the individual. So, just like that, the histidine protein amino acid, clear? It is not only produced in the body, but it is compulsory to take as a part of the diet too, right? Reason? Because the adequate amount of this amino acid is not synthesized in our body. Okay. Then we are taking the next one, there is a non-essential amino acid. A very clear meaning of this non-essential amino acid is that it is basically synthesized body only during different metabolic activities as an intermediate product or as a byproduct. So that's why no need to take them in the form of the food material or in the form of the meal. Clear? Just like this alanine, aspartic acid, asparaginous, okay, cysteine, glutamic acid, glutamine, glycine, tyrosine, proline and serine. Okay, so these all are very important amino acid, but they are produced by our body itself. So no need of taking them from the outside in the form of the food material. Okay, just take a look of the functions of the amino acid. Then you can see that it is the building blocks of the proteins, and you know that these proteins are the basic constructional unit of the body as well as the cell. Clear? These enzymes are proteinous in nature, these hormones are proteinous in nature. So that's why they are constructional in nature, they are regulatory in nature, they are functional in nature. Okay. And few amino acids are biologically active compound like this tyrosine, okay, and which is responsible to convert into thyroxine and adrenaline. Clear? You know that even this color pigment melanin is also synthesized by this one thing. Okay, so in the absence of this one thing, this important proteins cannot be synthesized. Okay, this glycine is involved in the formation of a heme. Okay, you know that as a part of the hemoglobin. Okay. And it is the color pigment of the blood, right? Now this tryptophan is also required for the formation of the nicotinamide, that is the vitamin A, and is the indole 3-acetic acid, what you call that is the IAA, indole acetic acid. Okay, it is a plant hormone, auxin, right? It is basically responsible for the apical growth of the plant and the restrict the which one thing, that is the lateral growth. Now if you remove this amino group of the carbon chain of amino acid, then it converted into the glucose. Okay, so in the emergency, when there is absence of carbohydrate, there is absence of fats for the supply of the energy as a respiratory substrate, then this protein can be utilized by breaking down this amino acid in the form of the carbohydrates. Okay, this biologically active amine such as the histamine, which is produced by the amino acids, okay, and by removal of this carboxylic group. Clear? You know that what is this histamine? It is basically responsible for this vascularization or the dilation of this blood vessels, right? Then this antibiotics often contain the non-protein amino acids too. Okay, so this is the functions of the amino acids. Now we are moving forward to take the next important component or the biomolecule, that is the protein. Simply you know that protein is a constructional and the structural unit of the cell. Okay, and the cell is the structural unit of the body. So ultimately we can say that protein is the constructional unit of the body. Clear? And what is the protein? Protein is a specific chain of the amino acid. Clear? If it is simple one, that is composed of a single amino acid chain, right? But it is a complex one, just like that. I just earlier discussed the example of the globulin protein, which is composed of 4 polypeptide chain, 2 alpha chain and 2 beta chain. Okay, so these proteins are the complex nitrogenous substances found in the cell of the plants and animals, and chemically they are the polymers of the monomers. And what are these monomers? Amino acids. Clear? So if you observe that, then this protein may be enzyme, it may be hormone, okay, and it may be a carrier part of the transportation medium too. Clear? So that's why it is very, very important. You know that enzymes are the functional protein, right? These hormones are the regulatory protein. That means the physiological control as well as the whole regulation of the different part of the body as well as the harmony of the different system in the body is managed by these proteins. Clear? Just like that, if you observe them, then nearly 50 to 55% carbon is there. Oxygen is usually composed 20 to 24%, hydrogen is nearly 7%, nitrogen 13 to 17%, and sulfur very rare, that is 0.3 to 0.5% only. Okay, and some other elements also like this iron, phosphorus, copper, calcium, iodine, these are also present. As I told you, these inorganic substances are basically a very small part of the protein. Okay, but it is very essential. Just like that, the hemoglobin, nearly 96 to 98% is organic, but hardly this 2 to 3% is inorganic in nature. But unless until it is not attached with this one, this protein is useless. Okay, so they are they required in very small quantity, but they are compulsory. Similarly, these amino acids are the building block of this one thing. As I told you, a protein is formed by a specific chain of the amino acids. Okay, and because these amino acids are connected with the help of the peptide bond, so that side is also called as the peptide chain too. Okay, now just we are going to discuss about the functions of the protein, then structural component of the cell as we discussed earlier. Okay, so they are responsible to form the extracellular material like the fibers. They are responsible to form the different cell organelles. You know that it is the main component of the cell membrane. Okay, so that's why all membrane bonded structures are composed of this protein. You know that nearly how much? Nearly 60% part of the cell membrane is composed of this protein. Okay, now the enzymes, you know that all the metabolically activities are controlled by the enzymes, and these all enzymes are proteins. Okay, so remember this one thing, these enzymes are very important part of this biological activities, and these are proteins in nature. Then the hormones, as I told you, the different hormones which is produced by the endocrine glands. Okay, just like that, your pituitary gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, okay, thymus gland, pancreas, both the two gonad, testes and ovary. Okay, these all are the gonads who are responsible to produce these hormones, and these hormones are regulatory in nature. Okay, then as a carrier, as we discussed earlier, this hemoglobin is a protein which is responsible for the transportation of carbon dioxide and oxygen. Okay, then the protection against the diseases, as you know that all these immunoglobulins are there, which is basically responsible to produce the or to grow the immunity of the body. Okay, so these all immunoglobulins are basically there, which is responsible for the destruction of the foreign bodies. Okay, just like the viruses, bacteria and all this one thing, growth and repair also, as you know that it is the part of the structural unit. So definitely if any kind of wounds is there, any tearing and wearing is there, okay, then this protein is responsible for this one thing. The formation of the rhodopsin, as you know that the color pigment as well as the pigment of the your this retinal cells, okay, that the cones and the rods, adopsin and rhodopsin, you know that it is the interconverting in nature, it is basically composed of protein opsin. This melanin synthesis, okay, the skin color pigment melanin is also synthesized or derived from the tyrosine. Okay, then the formation of the urea, as you know that these ureotelic animals are basically responsible to release out their nitrogenous waste material in the form of the urea, and this urea is basically made by a specific cycle, that is the ornithine arginine cycle, which runs in the liver especially. Okay, and it is a cyclic process, okay, where it forms. Okay, now we are going to discuss one of the most important new macromolecules, biomolecule, that is the nucleic acid. Okay, this name is actually nucleic acid is given by this Altman. Okay, and first of all, this Friedrich Miescher, okay, is named is at the nuclein because it is present in the nucleus, and because of it is acidic in nature, so we call it the nucleic acid. Okay, and when we talk about the structure of this nucleic acid, then these are basically which one thing, it is basically responsible for the process of the energy transfer in the body. Okay, it is responsible for the hereditary information. Okay, so when we observe that, then this nucleic acid is basically a polymer of the nucleotide. Okay, and a nucleotide is composed of a nucleoside and the phosphoric acid. Okay, and this nucleoside is composed of again two small unit, one that is the pentose sugar and second is the nitrogenous base. Okay, so here this nitrogenous bases is categorized into two categories, one that is the purine and second is the pyrimidines. Okay, so basically these purines are adenine and guanine, okay, which is double ring structure, while you observe that second group, that is the pyrimidine, this is the, except in this Ag, that is the U, T and C, uracil, thymine and cytosine. These are the single ring structure, okay, which is responsible to compose this nucleosides, which further form the nucleotides. Okay, now, so here you can see that there are the pentose sugar, okay, which is found both in DNA and RNA. If you talk about the DNA, then which pentose sugar is there? That is deoxyribose sugar. And if there is RNA, that means ribonucleic acid, then the ribose sugar is there. Okay, only the difference is there, that is the pentose sugar. Okay, and later we will discuss that. This one more nitrogenous base, pyrimidine, is there. Uracil is present in RNA instead of thymine. Okay, while in DNA you can see that uracil is lacking and A, G, T, C, these 4 nitrogenous bases are there. Okay, so just take a look of this nucleotide, how this form. Okay, you know that these 5 nitrogenous bases are there: adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine and uracil. Clear? So this one is responsible to form the nucleoside by the combination of this pentose sugar and nitrogenous base. Then it will form adenine, will form adenosine, guanine will form guanosine, cytosine will form cytidine, thymine will form thymidine and uracil will form uridine. Okay. Then if you observe their nucleotide, that is adenylic acid, guanylic acid, cytidyllic acid, thymidyllic acid and uridyllic acid. Okay. So these 5 nucleotide which form by these 5 nitrogenous bases. Okay. If you observe that a structure of a nucleotide, then you can see that a nucleotide is basically composed of these 3 units. Okay. One, just see that it is the center part is the pentose sugar. Okay. If it is RNA, then ribose sugar, and if it is DNA, then it is deoxyribose sugar. Okay. You can see that on the first number of carbon of this pentose sugar, you can see a nitrogenous base. It may be either of any 5 of these nitrogenous bases. Okay. And on the 5th carbon atom, this phosphoric acid is attached. Clear? So actually this 2 will form nucleoside and this 3 togetherly will form nucleotide, right? So if you observe the functions of this nucleotide, then the formation of the nucleic acid, that is either deoxyribonucleic acid or ribonucleic acid. Energy transfer, especially in the form of ATP, you know that it is considered as the energy currency of the cell or the body, that is adenosine triphosphate. Okay. It is also work as the coenzymes, likewise this NAD, NADP, nicotinamide adenosine diphosphate. Okay, this FAD, FMN, these all are coenzymes there which is responsible to participate in completion of the photosynthesis and respiration, right? It is also helpful as a vitamins. Okay, just like that it is also the part of the vitamins too. In the formation of the cell organelle, just like that you know that the ribosome, it consisting RNA, while this nucleus, it composed of DNA, and instead of this 2-1, this mitochondria and the chloroplast is also consisting this DNA. Okay, it is also the part of the structural components of the building blocks of the body. Okay, so first we are going to discuss about the deoxyribonucleic acid. Clear? As you know that this DNA is considered as the hereditary or the genetic material of almost all organism which is existing in this nature. Okay, but only the difference in that in the prokaryotic cell, this DNA is circular in nature. It is double stranded, circular in nature. It is lacking that histone protein. Okay, while when you talk about the eukaryotic cell and their DNA, then it also composed of this non-hereditary protein histone. Okay, that's why it is linear in nature. Okay, so when we observe its chemical composition, then this DNA is a polynucleotidal structure. That means its basic unit is nucleotide, and this nucleotide is composed of one phosphoric acid and nucleoside, and nucleoside is composed of pentose sugar and nitrogenous bases. So ultimately it is composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and phosphorus. Panch tattva, 5 elements. Okay. Now, so if you observe, then this nitrogenous bases is further categorized into the purines and pyrimidine. As we talked earlier, these purines are A and G, adenosine and guanosine. Clear? Adenine and guanine, and these pyrimidines are cytosine and thymine. Clear? Now, when we discuss this one thing, then they will form this 4 nucleosides. Okay, what is the combination? Nitrogenous base, deoxyribose sugar, and it will form this nucleoside: deoxyadenosine, deoxyguanosine, deoxycytidine and deoxythymidine. When this 2 plus phosphoric acid, that means nitrogenous base, deoxyribose sugar and phosphoric acid together form a deoxyribonucleotide. Okay, so this deoxyadenylic acid, deoxyguanylic acid, deoxycytidyllic acid, deoxythymidylic acid. Okay, so these four nucleotide is formed by this 4 nitrogenous bases. Okay, and a long chain of this one will responsible to construct a polynucleotidal chain, and when this 2 polynucleotidal chain arrange anti-parallelly, then they will form a double-stranded DNA structure. Okay, here you can see that this is a polynucleotidal chain in which one nucleotide, second, third and fourth arrange. Okay, you can see that on the first carbon atom of this pentose sugar a nitrogenous base is there, and on the fifth one this phosphoric acid there. Okay, so when this two nucleotide when attached, then see that the third carbon atom of the first nucleotide and the phosphoric acid of the second nucleotide is attached with the fifth end of this carbon pentose sugar. Okay, then they form this phosphodiester linkage, and this linkage is responsible to form a complete chain. So here you can see that in this polynucleotidal chain, here this third end is free and this the fifth end is free. So that's why you can see that this is a 3 to 5th end. Okay, so what will be the direction? 3 to 5th end, right? So this is a polynucleotidal chain which form. Okay, and to learn about the structure of a DNA, okay, the best model which supported and fulfill all the requirement and clear all the concept about the activities of DNA, two scientists were there, one that is the Watson and second is the Crick. Okay, J.D. Watson and F.H.C. Crick. In 1953 they had given a model to explain the structure, and they were awarded by the Nobel Prize of Biology in 1962. Okay, so according to this model, this DNA is a double-stranded structure, right? This DNA is composed of which one thing? See that here this diagrammatic presentation is there. Okay, so this DNA is a double-stranded structure. Okay, it is not straightened, it is a helical structure, that means it is twisted in nature. Okay, and here are the two strands are there from 3 to 5 and 5 to 3, and that means these two strands are complementary, and the one more important feature is that they are anti-parallelly arranged, just like 3 to 5 then 5 to 3. Okay, and in the middle it is just like a staircase, okay, which is just spirally moving along a central imaginary axis. Clear? Here you can see that it has one helix which is basically composed of this 10 nitrogenous base pair. Okay, these two closely or the adjacent nitrogenous base pair, they are having a distance of 3.4 angstrom. Okay, this 3.4 angstrom and a single helix consisting 10 base pair. So that's why the length of one helix is 34 angstrom. Okay, now the next feature is that its diameter. Its diameter is nearly 20 degree angstrom. Okay, and always here this two nitrogenous base pair, see that here is one base pair and the second one, they are connected with the help of this hydrogen bond. Okay, if there is A and T, one purine and one pyrimidine, these are complementary. Okay, this AT is connected with the double hydrogen bond and this C and G is connected with the triple hydrogen bond. So remember this base pairing and this one is there. Clear? If we talk about the importance of the DNA, then it is the hereditary material. It is responsible to transfer the parental information from one generation to next generation. It is responsible to synthesize the RNA as a the template. Okay, it is also undergoing the mutation and responsible to bring the new characters in the next generation. Okay, now then here we are going to discuss the RNA. Okay, this is ribonucleic acid. Clear? Only the difference is it is not the genetic material of more organism. Very few plant viruses are there which is basically having this RNA as the genetic material. Okay, but few prokaryotic cells are also having their genetic material as single stranded, but few animal viruses as a double stranded, but it is a that there is no helical structure. Okay, this chemical structure again is composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and phosphorus. Clear? It is also a polynucleotidal structure, but it is made up of ribonucleotides. Okay, and this single nucleotide is basically composed of one phosphoric acid and one nucleoside. Nucleoside again composed of one pentose sugar and one nitrogenous base. Okay, so here these four nitrogenous bases are there, A, G, U, C. Okay, and they will form this this nucleoside, that is the riboadenosine, riboguanosine, ribocytidine and ribouridine, right, and they form this nucleotide as a riboadenylic acid, riboguanylic acid, ribocytidylic acid and the ribouridilic acid. Clear? And this way they form a long chain of ribonucleotides. Clear? But you know that these RNAs are of three types. One, that is the mRNA, second is rRNA and third is tRNA. Okay, this rRNA is considered the ribosomal RNA, which is basically responsible for the protein synthesis, and it always found united with the ribosomes. Okay, and nearly 80% of the total composition of RNA is composed by this tRNA. Then we move over to the messenger RNA, mRNA. This is basically formed by the DNA molecule using as a template. Okay, and is responsible to carry the message for the synthesis of a specific protein or a polypeptide chain. Clear? In the cytoplasm, that's why it is termed as mRNA. It constituted hardly 3 to 5% of the total RNA. And the third RNA is the tRNA, is the transfer RNA. It is present in the cytoplasm. It is nearly of 20 types because a specific amino acid is carried by the specific tRNA. Okay, so nearly 10 to 20% of the total RNA is composed by this tRNA. Okay, now we are moving forward to learn about the differences between the DNA and RNA. You know that the first one, DNA is the genetic material of almost all organisms, while RNA is the genetic material of few organisms. Okay, which pentose sugar is in the DNA? Yes, right. It is the deoxyribose sugar, while ribose sugar is present in the RNA. Okay, what are the nitrogenous bases in DNA? This is AGTC. Okay, while in the RNA it is AGUC. Okay, then the DNA is a double stranded structure, RNA is a single stranded structure. Okay, DNA is of only one type, while RNA is of three type. Clear? DNA can replicate and produce RNA, but RNA can't. Okay, DNA is basically present in the where? Right, it is in the nucleus, while RNA is present in the cytoplasm. Okay, DNA is responsible to carry the hereditary information, while this RNA is carrying intercytoplasmic information. Okay, this DNA is basically consisting, which one thing? This the ratio of the purines and pyrimidines is equal. Okay, 1:1, while in RNA it is not compulsion. Okay, so remember the difference between the DNA and RNA. Now here we are going to discuss about the functions of the nucleic acid. Then first of all, these are the hereditary materials of the living organism, whatever the different categories belong to them. Okay, and this DNA controls the synthesis of the enzyme by coding that in the form of the protein synthesis. Okay, this nucleic acid is also from the maximum part of the chromatin part of the chromosome, and also causes the mutation which is responsible for the organic evolution by bringing these variations. Okay, so this is all about today's discussion. So I want to express my sincere thanks for your kind attention. Okay, thank you very much. In the next video, we will talk about the enzymes and their nature. Thank you very much. Keep studying, keep reading.